Hey, it's Tony with Actively Golden, and I wanted to ask you a question. It's cold and flu season, and have you had yours yet? I mean, I am just now getting over it, and I don't normally get a cold or flu, or at least not to the degree that I've gotten this year. I've enjoyed really good health for a long time, and for me to get a flu is really kind of rare, and there's a lot of reasons for that that I may talk to you about. But one of the things that I wanted to talk about in this particular video, and you might ask, where are you? I'm actually sitting in a mattress store doing some fill-in work for the owner of this store, who's a friend of mine who is in Europe with his family. And I fill in for him, once or twice a year, uh, and help sell a few mattresses. Gives me something to do and get out of the house. And I almost wasn't able to make it though, because he left a few days ago and I was just getting over this flu thing. But really, the question that I wanted to ask you or talk to you about was, what do you do? What should you do and what shouldn't you do when you have the cold or a flu, a very bad flu? And you'll see I'll still cough a little bit because I am still kind of on the tail end of it. But I just wanted to give you a few thoughts about it because when we get in these older years, the idea of getting the flu can be kind of frightening, because we know that the older we get, the more dangerous those kind of respiratory illnesses are. And we've probably known a few people that have had some pretty serious impacts, maybe even lost the battle with flu because they were older. And so, what I wanted to do is just kind of give you a few thoughts about what to do, and at least what I do, and what you should do and what you shouldn't do while you're facing a serious cold or serious flu. And in my case, it was extremely serious. And again, I haven't had the flu literally since I was in my 20s, well over 40 years ago. I'm convinced of that. And back then, when I had it, it was pretty minor, as flu can go. And I got it because I took the flu shot. I'm one of those rare birds that if I take the flu shot, I get it. So I decided years ago I wouldn't take it. Now, I'm not telling you not to do that. If that's what you feel like you need to do and your doctor wants you to take the flu shot, do it. But I haven't taken it in years. And the reason is because the one time that I did, I got a horrible flu. So I didn't take it this year, of course. And I just woke up one day, the day after Christmas, and that's one of the reasons I haven't made a video in several days now. I woke up and I was freezing. I mean, I was literally freezing, just shivering deep down, and started coughing. My nasal passages started locking up and clogging up, and I was getting a sore throat and feverish and just all of this stuff. And I thought, wow, what in the world? And as the day went on, the worse I got, and I just couldn't get warm, and ultimately I fought through that day thinking, well, this will pass. But then the next day I said, no, I'm going to go down here to one of these urgent care doctors that are always open. And I went in there and waited. And when they finally saw me, they did the swab for the COVID and the flu test. And of course, they came and told me, you don't have COVID, but you do have flu, and you have type A, which is pretty miserable. And so they gave me all the necessary prescriptions and the orders that I was supposed to follow and so forth. And from there, I went on, the 5 days after that were just miserable. And then what happened was it morphed from flu into bronchitis, which was even in some ways worse, because bronchitis makes you cough so hard that you feel like your back muscles are going to rip out of your skin. You feel like your lungs are going to come out onto the table. I mean, it's miserable. It really is. And so for the last, 10 days plus. I've been fighting that, and I'm finally on the backside of it. And what I wanted to tell you to do, or at least give you a few thoughts to fight through it. You know, obviously there's so many things that you already know. You already know to drink a lot of warm liquids. You know, to try to get a lot of fruit, vitamin C, all of those kind of things. These are all the common things that we already know. Drink a lot of hot broth. You know, try to keep everything warm and in the esophagus and the bronchial passages and all of that, and breathe in some steam and stuff. All these things that we know. But on top of that, though, or outside of that, I would just give you a few thoughts. And one of the first things that I decided to do from day one is, number one, just don't complain about it. Now, when you have the flu, I mean, it's easy to complain about it. Especially when you're at the height of it, and you're just sitting there talking about how terrible it is. This is awful. I've never felt so bad in my life. This is the most miserable thing. And when someone comes and asks you how you doing, you're like, oh my God, this is just the worst thing possible. It's terrible. I don't think I've ever felt this bad in my entire life. Death has to feel better than this, you know. And that is really what comes normal, comes natural. But it's really the last thing you should do, because that attitude that you have is basically fueling it and making it worse. Your mind is saying, okay, you're talking about how bad it is. I'll make it as bad as you're saying that it is. There's something about having a better outlook that where the brain releases feel good chemicals called endorphins into your bloodstream that actually make you start feeling better. What you should do is, when someone asks you how you're feeling, what you should do is just say, you know, I have the flu and I feel like I have the flu, but uh, I'm going to get through it. I'm going to make it. You know, I'm going to get there. And that's really about all you should do, instead of just that, oh my God, this is the worst thing ever. I can't believe I can't. That's not what you should do. I can't breathe. You know, I can't sleep. All of that stuff, because we know all of that. Because we know that when we're in the height of the flu, and this is all the symptoms I had. You know, what was so miserable is I couldn't even sleep. My nasal passages were so clogged that nothing would open to them. All the decongestants that you purchase and all the nasal sprays, I mean, it might open you up for a few minutes, but just for a few minutes. And when I would lay down and try to sleep, I would breathe through my mouth, and my mouth would dry out, and I just didn't sleep much. When you have the flu, you're not going to sleep much, and so just complaining about all of that is really not going to help. I found myself several nights just sitting up, literally sitting up all night long, just sitting on the sofa, kind of leaned back and dozing as best I could, because there was just no way I was going to get a good night's sleep. And complaining about it wasn't going to help. So that's the first thing. Just try not to complain, because it doesn't help. The second thing that I would encourage you to do is keep it in perspective. You know, yes, when you have the flu, especially when you're older, it's dangerous. And I'm not saying minimize it. When I say keep it in perspective, I'm not saying don't take it seriously. And I'm not saying minimize it. What I'm saying is keep it in perspective. Uh, there's always someone who is a lot sicker than you are. And that's what I always thought about. I thought about the fact that, you know, about a year ago, at this time of year, a year ago, a friend of mine, a mentor and a friend of mine, same exact age as me, uh, enjoyed very good health, was very athletic, and stayed in tip-top shape, ate fruits and vegetables, did his exercises. I mean, he was in really good shape, and he enjoyed a very nice quality of life. And I never saw him sick ever. But then all of a sudden, one day I got a notification saying that he had been diagnosed with stage 4 brain cancer that came out of nowhere. By the time they discovered it, it was already stage 4. And he fought for that last year through every kind of treatment and surgery, and he put up a good fight. But I attended his funeral. a year ago. I mean, that's what I mean by keeping things in perspective, that there's always someone who's a lot worse off than you are. There's always someone who's sitting in a hospital who's gotten a diagnosis that is the last diagnosis they're ever going to get. And understanding that you have the flu and that you feel terrible, that, you know, it's easy to complain, but at the same time, understanding that there are many people that would be glad to change places with you. So that's the second thing. Number one, don't complain so much. Number two, keep it in perspective. Number three, accept the fact that you have the flu. Just accept it. I mean, what a lot of people do is they're like, I can't believe I have this, and they try to do more than they should. What you need to do is accept the fact that you have it and take the rest that you need. Oftentimes, and it's in my nature, I wanted to get up and do a lot of things because I might feel a little bit better. And so I would get up and I would try to start doing stuff. And what would happen is that the fact that I'm not fully understanding that my immune system is extremely weak with the flu, my muscles are weak and sore, and you get a lot more tired. You get more tired, you get tireder faster, and you feel bad faster if you try to push it. Just accept the fact that you have it and just ride it out. You know, just do what you have to do, get the rest that you need. If you do anything at all, do the minimum. I mean, just the minimal possible. Don't try to get on your feet and say, I'm going to tough this out and I'm going to beat it. You're not. It's a viral thing that's in your system, and you're not going to just flush it out by doing stuff. So don't complain. Keep it in perspective. Accept that you have it. Just don't rush it, man. Accept it. And then, of course, just be smart. Be smart. Follow doctor's orders. Eat right. You know, don't suck down pizza and candy. You know, eat healthy soups, fruit and vegetables. Take vitamin supplements, but good ones. I'm going to make some videos about vitamin supplements down the road, but one of the things I will tell people, especially the older we get, you know, vitamin supplements and nutritional supplements, that if they're cheap, they're not any good. If they're financially dollar-wise cheap, they're not going to help you at all. There are some things that we need to invest real money into because they're better. Now, it's not always the case that more expensive is better, but in the case of the line of products that I've been using for years, and probably one of the biggest reasons I haven't had a diverticulitis flare up in 20 years, and some of the other health benefits I've enjoyed really good health, except for just all of a sudden this flu thing, that first one I've had in 40 years. I enjoy really good health, and I attribute a lot of that to the nutritional supplementation that I take, but I invest more in it. And I'll share more about it in future videos. I'm not going to get into a thing where you feel like I'm trying to sell you a certain line, but I will tell you, don't cut corners when it comes to taking care of yourself. If you need vitamin C and you want to spend $6 on a bottle of vitamin C down at a retail store like Walmart, then don't do it. Just get a glass of orange juice. You'll be better off. You'll do yourself a better service just by drinking orange juice rather than taking a cheap grade of nutritional supplement. But more about that in later videos. Just take care of yourself. Be smart. Eat right. Eat more soups, lots of broth. Try to rest as best you can. Try to get comfortable. And, you know, the nasal thing, you know, that's going to be big. That makes it very hard. Um, I tried some of the massages that you see in YouTube videos to try to open it up and all that stuff. None of that stuff worked for me. Blowing the nasal stuff up my nose, that helped for about 10 or 15 minutes. But then I would clog right back up. That was the worst part of the flu for me, was not so much the coughing and the fever. The worst part was not being able to breathe and not being able to sleep. And so just writing that part out was the hardest part, and just accepting the fact that I wasn't going to get a lot of rest, which is why I didn't try to do a lot, because I'm not rested. And if you're not rested and you try to do more, you're going to set yourself back. So just keep all these things in consideration. Don't complain so much. Keep it in perspective that there are people sicker than you are. Accept the fact that you have the flu and don't push it. And then just be smart with what you put into your body, and just get the rest that you need. And the likelihood is you're going to get through it. And you'll enjoy a healthier day in the days ahead. Hopefully this has been helpful. This is Tony with Actively Golden. Like and subscribe, and I look forward to seeing you again.